Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to Of Dice and Third Baseman, and this week's installment of the 1919 National League Game of the Week. Today is Sunday, the 18th of May, 1919, and this afternoon we're headed to New York, to Brush Stadium, which would commonly become known later as the Polo Grounds, for an early season matchup of two of the best teams in the National League, the Cincinnati Reds and the New York Giants. The Reds are currently 12-7 and tied for first place in the circuit with the Brooklyn Robins, and the Giants are 10-6, sitting only a half game behind. So while you can't really say that any game in the middle of May is that important, this should be a great matchup between two of the better teams in the circuit. So let's get down to the field and take a look at the starting lineups. The Reds will have Maury Rath leading off and playing second, Greasy Neal in right field batting second, Heine Groh will bat third and play third base, Ed Roush is the center fielder and batting cleanup, then Larry Koff at shortstop, Jake Daubert at first, Manuel Cueto in left, Bill Raritan behind the plate, and on the mound, 34-year-old left-handed veteran Slim Saleh. The Giants will counter with George Burns in left field in the leadoff spot. Ross Young's batting second in right field. Ross will be the subject of this week's seventh inning stretch Deadball portrait feature. The infamous Hal Chase batting third and playing first. The cleanup hitter is second baseman Larry Doyle. Benny Kauf is in center. Heine Zimmerman at third. Art Fletcher at shortstop, Lou McCarty behind the plate, and pitching for the Giants this afternoon is 28-year-old lefty Rube Benton. So we've got a matchup of left-handers on the hill today at Brush Stadium. And without further ado, let's head on down to the field. Where Maury Rath will lead it off for Cincinnati here in the top of the first. Benton kicks and deals. That's a 180. That's a wild pitch, so nothing doing. He looks in for the sign again, 172, and that's a walk. So Rath draws a walk to lead it off. Neal is a bunt 7 and a power and contact 4, so he will lay one down here. We get 4 and 1 is 5. Plus Neal's bunting is a 7, that's a 12. And he misses this first attempt. Cincinnati will keep the bunt on. That's 12 and 7 is 19. And that's bunted down to third base, where it'll be fielded by Zimmerman. His only play is to first. And a successful sacrifice that moves Rath up to second. That brings Heine Groh to the plate with the man in scoring position and one out. Groh's off to a fantastic start. He's hitting .343 in the early going. 103. That's a grounder to short. Art Fletcher is up with it, and he'll throw to first, and Rath will be forced to hold at second. And that's 2 away for the cleanup hitter Ed Roush, who's at 283 so far during the season with 13 runs batted in. 194. And Roush is going to bloop that into center field for a base hit. Rath will round third, and he'll come in to score with 2 outs, and Cincinnati takes the lead just like that. Larry Koff will stand in. That's a 190. He's also going to bloop that into the outfield for a base hit. Roush will sprint around second and head to third. And Benton's in some early trouble. Runners at the corners, 2 away, And Jake Daubert up. 242 on the season, 316. Daubert taps this one on the ground towards shortstop. Fletcher running in barehanded, and he can't field it. It's going to be an infield base hit. Rush will score, and Koff will move to second, and it's 2-0 New York. Sorry, 2-0 Cincinnati, and Cueto at the bat, still with 2 men on. 160, and he is going to line a base hit into left field. Koff will round third and score. Daubert will go all the way around to third. It's 3-0, and there's still men at the corners with 2 outs. So Benton really struggling here on the top of the first. The pitch to the Reds catcher. 5:54. That's a bouncer to Zimmerman. And he will field it and throw to first for the 3rd out of the inning. But not before Cincinnati gets 3 runs on 4 hits to take a 3-0 first inning lead. So the Giants already have their work cut out for them. And they will look to left fielder George Burns to get things started. George is off to a 309 start with a 397 on-base percentage and 11 steals in the first 17 games of the season. The pitch is a 5:32. That's bounced down to Daubert at first. And he will field that and take it to the bag himself. And there's one away. For Ross Youngs, who sits at 297 here in the early going. 194. That is popped up on the infield. Larry Koff drifts over towards second base. And the shortstop will put it away for the 2nd out of the inning. And Hal Chase will come to the plate, batting an even 300 thus far for the Giants. 196. He also skies one on the infield. This time Koff doesn't have to move. And he makes the one-handed grab, and that'll retire the side. So the Giants go quietly in the first. We head to the 2nd. The score Cincinnati 3, New York 0. And the Reds will send up pitcher Slim Saleh to lead off the inning. That's a 4-13, and he's an eye of 4. That's a grounder to shortstop. Art Fletcher will have no trouble. Picks it up and flings it over to first, and there's one away. And Maury Rath will stand in. He walked and scored his first time up. 252 against a lefty. That's a 542. Larry Doyle is a range 5, so that's a routine grounder to second, and there's one away. And Greasy Neal stands in. Greasy's had a rough start to the season. He's batting only 169 in his first 65 at-bats. 335, and that won't help. He skies that one to center. It's a can of corn. Benny Kauf stepped to his left and makes the catch, and there's 2 away. And Heine Groh stands in. No, apologies, that's the 3rd out. And we go to the bottom of the 2nd. And Larry Doyle will lead it off for New York. The pitch by Saleh, 276. That's going to be hit deep to right. Doyle's a power 4. And 7 is 11. And that'll be a base hit to left field for Larry Doyle. So well struck single. And the Giants get the leadoff man on. And Benny Kauf will stand in. Former Federal League star. That's a 546, and that's hit on the ground to Rath. He will scoop it up and fling it over to first for the 1st out. But Doyle will move up to second, where Heine Zimmerman will have a chance to pick him up. Zimmerman has 9 RBIs in the early goings, hitting 297. 542. That's going to be hit right back at Rath again. That's another ground out. And Doyle will slide over to third, where there's 2 outs and Art Fletcher. Chance to bring home the run. 238 against a righty, and he won't do it. That's a ground ball up the middle. Kopp fields it at shortstop, throws over to first for the out that retires the side. And the Giants get a man to third, but don't score in the second. We head to the top of the third inning to score 3-0 Cincinnati. And now Heine Grau will bat. He is 0 for 1. He grounded to short his first time up. That's a 508, so that'll be a rare play. 175. And he's hit by the pitch. So Grau takes one for the club. He will trot down to first. Auto manager says no play, so Ed Roush will swing away. That's a 220 against a lefty. And that's a swing and a miss, strike 3. Benton gets the dangerous Roush on a swinging third strike. And that'll bring up Larry Kopp. 698. That could be trouble. And it is. That's over the outfielders' heads and all the way to the left center field wall. And that'll be an RBI triple for Kopp. And the Giants extend their lead to 4-0. With a runner at third and only 1 out for Daubert. Only the third inning here, but it's starting to get out of hand. All right, the Giants will bring the infield in. Kopp will not go on contact. The pitch to Daubert. That's a 111. That's hit back to the mound. And Benton will field it and throw to first. And Kopp will hold at third. So a big pitch there by Benton. He's 1 out away from getting out of it without further damage. It'll be up to Manuel Cueto. Kopp dances off third. The pitch is a 376. And that's again bounced to shortstop, where Fletcher will scoop it up and throw it across the diamond for the third out. But the Reds get another run, and we go to the bottom of the third with the Giants coming up and trailing by a score of 4-0. The catcher Lou McCarty will stand in for the Giants. He's been one of the surprise packages of the season thus far. In his first 16 games of the year, he's hitting a robust 481 on the season. So we'll see what he can do here with Slim Saleh. 662 at home. That'll be a 672. And he takes one in the ribs. So maybe perhaps a beanball war brewing here. And that'll bring Benton to the plate. With a runner at first. And 1 away. Benton's actually a pretty decent hitter. He's going to swing away here. 388 against a contact 3. And that's a base hit into left field. McCarty will stop at second, and the Giants have something cooking here with runners at first and second and nobody away. And their star, George Burns, at the plate. George grounded out to first unassisted his first time up. 525, and that's popped up behind home plate. Raritan takes a few steps back towards the screen, and he makes the catch. A big out there. Get the dangerous Burns. Now there's one away. And Ross Young's with a chance with 2 men aboard. That's a 654. At home, that's a 664. And that's hit back to the mound. Salih will field it and toss to first. And Youngs is retired, but the runners move up to second and third with 2 away, and Hal Chase will stand in. Hal popped up to the shortstop his first time up. 274, and he gets a hold of that one. And he hits it deep to left. 4 and 3 is 7. And that'll hang up just enough for Cueto to run in and make a running catch in left field. Looked like it was going to be a run-scoring base hit. But again, the Giants come up empty. And we head to the 4th with the score 4-0 Cincinnati. And they will start it off with the catcher, Bill Raritan. The pitch from Benton, that's a 598, and that's hit out to Youngs and right, and he will not be able to get under it, and it falls in front of him for a base hit. 6th hit of the game for Cincinnati. And that'll bring up Slim Salih, and he will look to sacrifice. So that's 6-11, and 4 from Salih is 15. And that's bunted to the catcher. McCarty has an arm of 3, and Raritan has a speed of 4 at first base. So we're just going to take the out at first, and it's a good sacrifice by Salih. So Raritan's at second with 1 out, and Maury Rath, who's walked and grounded out. 225 against a lefty, and that's popped up on the infield. Zimmerman goes into foul ground and makes the catch for the second out. And that leaves it up to Greasy Neal, who's sacrificed and skied to center. 146, and that's a fly ball into right field. Ross Youngs takes a few steps over towards the right field foul line, and he'll make the catch to retire the side, and nothing doing for Cincinnati. Bottom of the 4th, Larry Doyle will lead it off for the Giants. He's singled in his only trip. 230 against a lefty, and Larry bounces that one to first base. Daubert's up with it, and he'll flip to Salih covering, and there's 1 away. Benny Kauf stands in. 228 against a lefty. He pops the ball up on the infield. Heine Groh at third will be there, and he'll make the play. There's 2 away. And Zimmerman, who grounded out his first time up, comes up with 2 outs, 123. And he will ground it down the right field line, where Daubert picks it out of the dirt and again flips to the pitcher covering. And the Giants go in order in the 4th. We go to the top of the 5th. Cincinnati 4, New York 0. And Heine Groh will lead it off. He is grounded out and been hit by a pitch. 235 against a righty, and that's bounced back to the mound. Benton will glove it and throw to first, and there's 1 away. Ed Roush stands in, and he hits a grass cutter right at Larry Doyle at second base. Over to first, and there's 2 away. And the shortstop, Larry Koff, stands in. 230 against a switch hitter. And another ground ball, this time just to the left of Heine Zimmerman at third. He's got it, and over to Chase at first. And a 1-2-3 inning, as Benton seems to have found his feet as we get to the 5th inning, although it potentially could be too late, but nothing doing for Cincinnati, and we're halfway through here at Brush Stadium with Cincinnati still holding a 4-0 lead. And Art Fletcher will lead it off for the homestanding Giants in the bottom of the 5th. 391. And that's going to be a base hit into right field for the Giants shortstop. That'll bring up the hot-hitting McCarty. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. 636 at home. That's a 646. And that'll be bounced to Grow at third base. He'll flip to second, and they'll only get one. So McCarty reaches on a fielder's choice, and he takes Fletcher's place at first. And that'll bring up Benton, who singled his first time up. 659. At home, that's a 669. And that'll be hit to Koff at short, and he will muff it. So an E6, that's the first error of the ball game. And the Giants have runners at first and second, with one away in the top of the order coming up. Burns is 0 for 2 so far. 219 against a righty. And that's a slow ground ball to third. Grow up with an over to first. Burns is retired, but the runners will move up. And that puts Giants on second and third with 2 outs. And the dangerous Ross Youngs comes to the plate. He's popped up and grounded out so far today. 204 against a left-handed batter, and that's hit hard, but right back to Salih on the mound. He gloves it without a problem, and he flips to first for the out that retires the side. And again, nothing doing for the Giants, despite having a couple of base runners. And we're through 5 here at Brush Stadium. Benton trudges back to the hill, and he will face first baseman Jake Dalbert to lead off the Cincinnati 6th. 460 against a left-handed pitcher, and that's ground ball to second. Larry Doyle tosses it to first, and there's one away. And Cueto has a single with a run batted in and ground out. 483 against a lefty, and he is hit by a pitch. Third plunking of the afternoon here in New York. So the tempers maybe starting to get a little bit frayed between the two contending teams, and that'll send Cueto down to first with one away, and the catcher Bill Raritan coming to the plate. It's a 122, and that's bounced to Chase at first. He throws to Fletcher for the force at second, and that's the only play they'll have. And so Raritan reaches on the fielder's choice, and Cueto's retired. And with 2 away, that'll bring up Slim Salih. He is grounded out and sacrificed. 353 against a contact 2, and that's a swing and a miss. Second strikeout of the game for Benton, and the Giants are retired in the 6th. Benton will be subject to fatigue in the 7th, and his Giants trail 4-0 as they come up in the bottom of the 6th, with Hal Chase leading it off. 420, and that's hit hard, but right at the shortstop, Larry Koff. This time, he has no problem picking it out of the pebbles, and he sends it over to first for the initial out of the inning. And Larry Doyle, who's 1 for 2, stands in for New York. 115. That's hit on the ground to first base. Dalbert underhands it to Salih as he crosses the bag, and there's 2 away. And that'll leave the inning up to center fielder Benny Kauf. 684 at home is a 694, and that's laced into right field for a base hit. So the Giants get their 4th hit of the afternoon. Kauf is at first, with 2 away, and Zimmerman at the plate, who's grounded out twice so far. 627 at home is a 637, and that's a bouncer to second base. Rath will flip to Koff for the force at second. That retires the side. So again, nothing for the Giants in the sixth. Then we head to the top of the seventh with a 4-0 score in favor of Cincinnati. And Rath will lead the inning off at the top of the order for the Reds. 593. That's hit out to Youngs in right field. He will make the routine grab for the first out. And Greasy Neal steps in. He's 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. 527. That's a pass ball, but nobody on. The pitch again by Benton is a 317 to Neal. Swing and a miss. Third strikeout of the afternoon for the Giants left-hander, and there's 2 away for Heine Groh, who's grounded out twice and been hit by a pitch. 534. That's hit on the ground to Chase at first. He will take it to the bag himself. And the Reds are retired in the seventh. And we go to the seventh inning stretch with the score Cincinnati 4 and the Giants nothing. And we'll be right back after this. For this week's Deadball portrait, we're going to meet New York Giants outfielder Ross Youngs. Legendary Giants manager John McGraw kept framed photos of only 2 players in his office at the Polo Grounds. One, of course, was of the mighty Christy Mathewson, but the other one was of outfielder Ross Youngs, of whom McGraw once said, quote, "He was the greatest outfielder I ever saw on a ball field. He could do everything a ball player should do and do it better than most players. As an outfielder, he had no superiors." Ross Middlebrook Youngs was born in Texas in 1897, the middle son of a railroad maintenance supervisor and hotel proprietor who abandoned the family when Ross was a young boy. He showed athletic promise from an early age and was around baseball as a kid while working as a vendor at San Antonio Broncos games in the Texas League. He got to know the staff and the players on the club and would sometimes take infield practice with the pros. He must have shown some real talent, as the club played him in a regular season game at just 16 years old. He was a multi-sport star in high school, excelling in football and basketball as well. As a 17-year-old, it was surprisingly not San Antonio that first gave him a shot to play regularly in the Texas League, but the Austin Senators. Youngs appeared with the Senators for 2 weeks in August, but only hit .145 with a single extra base hit. The following season, 1915, before starting his senior year of high school, he played for a pair of Class D teams in mid-Texas and hit .267 with 17 doubles and 40 stolen bases in just a half season of action. He was signed by the Houston Buffs of the Texas League in 1916 and was farmed out to Sherman, where he played second and short and led the league with a .362 batting average, scored 103 runs, and had 30 doubles and 40 steals. His infield defense was erratic, however, and he began spending some time patrolling the outfield late in the season. The Sherman manager wrote to McGraw raving about this 19-year-old that was tearing up a league of men in their mid-20s, and the Giants sent a scout out to Texas, who reported back to McGraw, quote, "Grab him," end quote. Young's rights were sold to the Giants for $20,000, and he reported to spring training in 1917 as a not yet 20-year-old who was all of 5'8" and 160 pounds. McGraw realized then that Youngs was not going to cut it as a major league infielder and sent him out to Double-A Rochester to convert him to being a full-time outfielder. Youngs, who had not played pro ball above the Class D level to this point, tore up the International League to the tune of a .356 average, and he was called up to the Giants in September. He appeared in 7 games with the big club and hit .346, including a double and 2 triples in the season finale in Philadelphia, and he was off and running as a big league regular. From the start of spring training in 1918, the Giants' right field job was his, and he took advantage, hitting over 300 for the season. And in 1919, he hit over 400 through the end of May and finished third in the National League in batting while leading the league in doubles. In 1920, he hit .351 and finished second in the NL in batting and third in slugging, and also led the circuit in outfield assists for the second year in a row, as he established himself as one of the great players in the game. In 1921, he became the Giants' cleanup hitter and drove in 102 runs, and he had a .438 on-base percentage in the club's World Series victory over the Yankees. He hit over .330 in each of the next 3 seasons, leading the National League in runs scored in 1923, and it appeared as if Youngs was on his way to a long and storied career. Youngs was not feeling well when spring training convened prior to the 1925 season, however, and he wasn't himself for the entire campaign, as he slumped to a .264 average, the first time in his career he had hit under 300. His health hadn't improved by the following spring, and the club assigned a nurse to travel with him and to manage his diet. He rebounded to hit .306, but could only appear in 95 games, and in August he was hospitalized with what doctors thought was a severe cold. He returned to Texas after the season and was hospitalized again with what was believed to be the flu. Remember, this was only 7 years after a flu pandemic that had claimed more than 600,000 lives in the United States. He was still not well enough to rejoin the Giants come spring, and he found himself back in the hospital in October. This time, however, he wouldn't be discharged. He succumbed to what turned out to be kidney disease at the age of only 30. Youngs was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1972 as one of a long list of candidates, largely ex-teammates, that were shepherded through the selection process over the years by Frankie Frisch during his time on the Veterans Committee. While you could argue over the merits of Young's Hall of Fame credentials, you couldn't argue about his all-around skill in the diamond. The winter after his death, the Giants unveiled memorials to Youngs and to Christy Mathewson, who had also recently passed away at a young age. Sports writer John Kieran, who had covered the Giants' 4 straight pennants in the early 1920s for the New York Times and New York Tribune, with Youngs playing a starring role, wrote the following tribute on Youngs's plaque. A brave, untrammeled spirit of the diamond, who brought glory to himself and his team by his strong, aggressive, courageous play. He won the admiration of the nation's fans, the love and esteem of his friends and teammates, and the respect of his opponents. He played the game. So we head to the bottom of the 7th. Art Fletcher will lead it off for the Giants. They got a bunch of work to do as they trail 4-0. And Slim Silly's pitching a 4-hitter thus far. .458 against a lefty, and Fletcher starts it off with a base hit. So the Giants get the leadoff man on. The auto manager die says Fletcher will try to steal. He is a steal 3 against a hold 6, so he needs a 13 or better to get the jump. He is going. He's a speed 3 and Raritan is an arm 4, so he needs 11 or better to swipe the bag. And he does it. Barely. So Fletcher steals second, just ahead of the tag by Larry Kopf. And the Giants have a man in scoring position with nobody out. And Lou McCarty steps in. He's 0 for 1 with a hit by pitch. And the pitch from Salih is a .481 against a left-hander. And McCarty does it again. Line drive base hit into left field. Fletcher scores. The Giants are on the board. And it's 4-1. That'll bring Benton to the plate. 651 at home. That's a 661. And that's hit back up the middle, but gloved by Selly. And he will toss to first for the first out of the inning. But McCarty trots down to second, and the Giants have another man in scoring position with the top of the order coming up. Burns is 0 for 3 to slip under 300 for the season. Slim looks and he deals 360. And that's hit hard, but on the ground right to the shortstop. Kopf will field it, look the runner back to second and throw to first for the second out. And Youngs will come up. 285, and he gets a hold of that one and hits it hard to right field. That's a 13 plus 0 power, still a 13. To right field, and that's gonna hang up in the air where Greasy Neal will make the catch for the out that retires the side here in the bottom of the 7th. But the Giants do claw one back, and we'll go to the 8th. It's a 3-run game with Cincinnati in front. 4-1, and Salih will be vulnerable to fatigue in the 8th. Ed Rauch will lead it off for Cincinnati. He is 1 for 3 with a strikeout. 436 against a lefty. And that's a 3-hopper to second. Larry Doyle will take care of it for the first out. And Larry Kopf stands in. He is 2 for 3 with a triple, a run scored, and an RBI. A nice day for the Red shortstop, despite the error. That's a 6-11. Oops, sorry. And that's popped up on the infield. Doyle is under it, and he makes the grab. For the second out of the inning. And the first baseman, Jake Daubert, will stand in. He's 1 for 3 today. 496 against a lefty, and that's hit well to right field. 5 plus 0 is 5. And that's a base hit to right for Jake Daubert. Nothing doing on the auto manager die, so Manuel Cueto will step in. He is 1 for 2 and has been hit by a pitch. 495 against a lefty, and Cueto gets under it and hits it way in the air to center field. Benny Kauff will have plenty of time to get underneath it and make the catch for the final out of the inning here in the top of the 8th. And Cincinnati gets a man aboard but can do nothing with him. And we go to the bottom of the 8th with the score still 4-1 in favor of the Reds. And Hal Chase, who's 0 for 3 on the day, will lead it off. He's popped up, flied out, and grounded out. 640. At home is 650. And that's a ground ball to shortstop. Larry Kopf is up with it. Over to first for the out, and there's one away. Larry Doyle is 1 for 3. 420. It's to lefty, and that's hit hard, but back to the box. And Sully will trot to first base and flip it to Daubert for the second out of the inning. And that brings up Benny Kauff, who singled his last time up. 600. At home is a 610. And Kauff hits that one straight up the stovepipe. Maury Rath shades a few steps over towards second base, and he will put it away for the third out of the inning. And again, nothing doing for the Giants, and we're off to the 9th inning with the score 4-1 in favor of the Reds. And they will have Raritan, the pitcher's spot, and Maury Rath here in the 9th. Benton delivers 647, and 10 for fatigue is 657. And that's a roller down to first base. It's fielded by Chase, who flips to Benton for the out. And Slim Salih will stand in. He's 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. 386 against a contact 2. Swing and a miss. Second time he struck out. 2 of Benton's 4 strikeouts on the afternoon. And the Reds will roll over to the top of the order with 2 out and Maury Rath. Rath is 0 for 3 with a walk. He scored a run. 3-12. And he's going to hit a little nubber on the ground towards second base. And that'll be an infield hit. Rath can run a little bit, and Doyle really had no play once he reached the ball. And so Rath at first with 2 away. Nothing on the auto manager die, and Greasy Neal will stand in. He's 0 for 3 with a sacrifice. 636 plus 20 for fatigue is 656. And that's hit on the ground to short. Fletcher will go the easy route and flip to Doyle at second for the force out that retires the Reds in the 9th. But they have a 3-run lead and only 3 outs to get as we go to the bottom of the 9th. And it's in the capable hands of Slim Salee, and he will face Heine Zimmerman, Art Fletcher, and Lou McCarty here in the bottom of the 9th. The pitch by Salee, 317. That's hit in the air to center field. Roush takes a couple steps back and to his left, but he's under it. And he makes the catch for the first out. Art Fletcher will stand in. He is 2 for 3. 2 singles and a steal, and he scored a run. 576. That's hit well out towards Cueto and left. He's range 5, and he will not get it. That'll get past him into the wall for a double. So, third hit for Art Fletcher of the 7 Giant hits. And they have a man on for Lou McCarty, who's 1 for 2. 627 at home is 637, and fatigue is 647. And that's hit pretty solidly on the ground to third base. Groh will field it, hold the runner at second, and throw on to first for the second out. And the Giants are down to their last gasp with the pitcher due up, and they will certainly go to the bench. So McGraw looks up and down the assortment of characters he has sitting on the pine next to him, and he will go to the youngster George High Pockets Kelly. Kelly's seen limited action thus far early in the season. He's got 2 hits and 3 trips. And the youngster will stand in and face the veteran Salee. 2 outs, a runner at second, and the Giants trailing by 3. And the pitch is a 2-0-1 against a righty, and that's hit on the ground. Kopp up with it. Throws to first. Kelly is retired. The Giants are retired. And Cincinnati wins the ball game by a score of 4-1. The totals on the game: Cincinnati 4-8-1, and the Giants 1 run on 7 hits and nobody left. The winning pitcher is Slim Salee with the complete game 7-hit, 1-run performance with no walks or no strikeouts. Welcome to the dead ball era, folks. Salee is 1-1 on the season. Rube Benton goes the distance for the Giants, but takes the loss to go to 1 win and 2 losses on the season. Salee, of course, is the star of the game for Cincinnati, but Larry Koff chipped in admirably with 2 hits, one of them being a triple, a run scored, and an RBI. So that's it for today from Brush Stadium on the 1919 National League Game of the Week. Thanks for joining us here on Of Dice and Third Baseman, and until next time, we will see you later.